Today, you are going to get an insight that is far greater than anything you can learn in a book or any specific practice that you can do. We're also going to do a mental test drive using your imagination so you can actually experience this insight. Now, these are bold claims, I know, but I've spent the last 20 years of my life investigating my own mind, consciousness, and the perception of reality. And above all, I implement and integrate these insights in real life. Now, I'm not going to teach you any theories, but I'm going to share with you what I found out for myself so you can shortcut your own journey. Now, before we get to this insight, there are two base realities that we have to touch upon in order for this insight to land well. Now, don't worry, you do not have to understand these basic insights or these basic truths in depth. There's no need for that, but we do need to touch upon them just to give kind of a broader understanding. The first one has to do with you. So that which is looking through your eyes right now, that which you refer to when you say, I am. The cognizance, the intelligence, the awareness of what goes on around you, the awareness of what goes on inside of you, the awareness, period. So that you, the bedrock, you could say, of who you are, or the essence of who you are, is formless. It is conscious, it is aware, it is intelligent, but it has no form. You are conscious of form. No matter if it is the stuff around you, your sense perceptions, or you are aware of your thoughts or your feelings, they all come and go, isn't it? But you are always seeing it, experiencing it. So everything that you experience is form. And you, the experiencer, the subject, are formless in essence. All the other identities you have, and you can have those because after all you're human, aren't you? So all those other identities, those human identities, are layers on top of this center identity, this center you, which is formless, aware, conscious. That's it. It never changes, it never moves, but everything that it is aware of always changes, while itself does not change. Now, even if this concept is kind of new to you, or it's not completely clear, that's okay. That's not so important for this video. But we need to touch upon that. You need to see that you're always conscious of things that always move. Now, for the second basic truth that we have to touch upon, it's not about you. It's about the things that you experience. So you, as formless conscious awareness, experience form, and these forms come in all shapes and colors and sizes. So you have thoughts, you have your feelings, you have situations, problems, you have the people around you, you have the stuff around you, things matter. Everything that you experience is a form, a thing. So what is meant with a form, a thing? The definition is that it needs to have a beginning and an ending, and you can distinguish one from the other. Then we're talking about a thing. Now here's the interesting part. No things really exist in time. Even matter, even the couch you're sitting on, or the table that you see, or the tree that you see standing there, does not exist in time. All things are made of energy. So Einstein came up with this, that even matter is made of energy. Matter and energy can be interchangeable, and no matter or energy ever gets lost. Let's say you have a painting on the wall for 10 years, and after those 10 years, you see that the colors have faded. But the colors have not faded in 10 years' time. The colors are fading every moment. But from our perception, we see the fading of the colors after 10 years. The aging happens every single moment. When you look around you, then everything that you see is either growing, if it's a living thing, or it is dying, meaning that it is getting older, it's breaking down. Even if you would have a diamond and you would protect it from the environment, then still on the molecular level, the bonds would start breaking because they're moving all the time. Atoms are moving, and it will break down. When you look at the planet, like a couple of billion years ago, what is still here now from the planet 2 billion years ago? Nothing. Everything is constantly changing and moving, because of course nothing gets lost. When something disintegrates, then it gets born again into other forms. So when is that happening? When is that movement happening? It's not in chunks. It's not in so many years. It is every moment. Every moment, everything is changing. And from our perception, things seem to have a stability in time. But that's only because we can think in time. Because things actually move all the time. So even matter is energy, like Einstein said, and it moves slowly. So it's very dense, compact energy, moving slowly. So slow that it appears to be stationary. That's all for this part that we need to touch on. Everything is constantly changing, all forms, and consciousness, you are seeing that change from a non-changing base. Okay, so now we've touched on those two base realities. By the way, if you haven't done that, if you skip to this part of the video, you can, it's all up to you, but I would highly recommend that you do check out those two base truths, because they give kind of a framework for the next insight to land. So presuming you have done that, let's look at the mind, your consciousness, okay? Because your consciousness is your mind. And your mind, your consciousness, can either be full of stuff, or it can be empty, or something in between. You can have a lot of things on your mind that ask for a lot of energy, a lot of attention, or you can be kind of peaceful and have very little on your mind and be kind of just aware of everything. But besides the content of your mind can either be moving or it can stop. And this is where the beauty of this video comes in. If your mind moves, and by the way, I'm gonna explain this in a couple of different ways. So if it's not completely clear from the beginning, maybe when we puzzle the things together, it becomes more clear. And also, if something is very unclear or it just doesn't click, you can always ask me in the comments and I'll do my very, very best to make it click. Now, if your mind moves, then it aligns with the reality of life. Because life always moves, like we've seen in the beginning. No form exists in time. Nothing exists stationary. Everything is constantly moving. So if your mind moves, it can align with the reality of life. Now here's the beauty part. If the mind moves, and the content of the mind is either positive or negative, it always gives energy. We're going to get in examples, don't worry. If the mind stops, be that with a positive content or a negative content, it always drains energy. If the mind moves, it syncs with the reality of life. We call this flow. And it gives energy, whether you are dealing with a problem or you are rejoicing in something great that happened. Now let's say that the mind stops at something positive, like somebody told you that you are the greatest person in the world and you feel great about it. Now if you go and rethink that thought all the time, over and over, you are kind of milking the dopamine that you get from that thought, and it will always drain your energy. Maybe not immediately, because you get a substitute for energy because of the dopamine, but when it runs off, and it will run off, it always does, then you will have to pay the price. You will be drained of your energy because your mind stopped at this praising that somebody did of you. If somebody praises you, you get a shot of dopamine, and the moment that shot of dopamine goes up, it already goes down. That is the reality of life. Everything goes up and down. That's movement. If you stop that movement, you milk the dopamine, you're gonna pay the price because it's going to drain your energy. Same happens with a negative. Let's say that somebody really bashed you and really made you emotionally, they hurt you, right? They hurt you emotionally. If you keep repeating what they said, and if you even make it worse by, creating all kinds of your own negative ideas about yourself because of what somebody said, so you think it over and over, then you stop the movement of your mind. You keep on ruminating on the same thing, and it will drain your energy. In the negative case like this one, it's kind of obvious that it drains your energy. But when you think about it, if you keep on repeating a positive and you keep on milking that dopamine, isn't it going to drain your energy afterwards when things normalize again? It's the same thing. Let's say you have a problem, something emerges, and the mind keeps moving, then, I'm going to call this person up. I'm going to look that up. What can I do? Think about it. If your mind moves, even if you cannot find a solution right away, even if your mind is moving for weeks or months without a solution, as long as your mind is moving, it's going to give you energy. And energy promotes well-being. You can be in flow even with a negative, even if you don't have any outcomes, even if you're stuck. If you move while you're stuck, it gives you energy, always, because you link with the nature of reality. So if your mind is moving, it creates flow and alignment with the reality of life. If your mind stops, it creates stagnation and a separation from the reality of life. And this is the interesting part, you see, because this separation from the reality of life is where the ego can house. You see, the basis of ego, the seat of ego, is the stagnated mind. Because you need to be ruminating in concepts, not being in tune with the reality of movement of everything, in order for there to be the sense of being separate from life. The idea of separation, which is me versus the world, can only come in being when your mind is not moving with the movement of life, which constantly happens. So far, does this make a lot of sense to you, or how does it make you feel? Destabilizing, or very good, or maybe a bit frightened or something? A lot of things can happen. Human emotions go all over the place. If you want, you can always let me know in the comments. I'm very interested. Let's do a little mental test drive, a little imagination. Let's say you get a message, you have to pay $5,000. And your mind, in this case, stops. So you start thinking, why do I have to pay $5,000? And oh my God, and I can't do this anymore. No. What happens to your energy? It fades away. Why? Because your mind stops, which means stagnation, which means a separation from the reality of life. Now, same thing. You get a message, you have to pay $5,000. But your mind is moving. $5,000? Why? And you look, why do I have to pay $5,000? Oh, because of that. Can I do something about that? You call somebody up. Yeah, well, why? And you look at options. You say, maybe I can do this, and then I don't have to pay. Maybe somebody made a mistake, and therefore it seems like I have to, I have to pay, but I don't have to pay. Or you say, okay, oh yeah, I can see why. I have to pay. Do I have this money? No. Or let's say yes. Okay, just a bummer, but okay, here, pay the money. You keep moving, you keep looking and moving. That is the nature of reality. You move, even if you have to pay. Let's say you can't pay this $5,000. Let's say you're in big trouble. Same thing happens. You just keep looking, you keep moving. When you do this, and I guarantee you this, it gives you energy because you stay in flow. Your mind moves, you're in flow, and it gives you energy, even if it is big problems, even if it's a very negative thing. If your mind keeps moving, you're in flow and it gives you energy, as long as you don't stop. Now let's look at the positive. You go and get a newspaper and you scratch one of those thingies, and what does it say? You win $5,000. Woohoo! You win $5,000, but the mind stops. Oh, I'm gonna get $5,000. I'm gonna do this and that and so, and no. And you keep on thinking. So somebody says, hey, can you help me with this? Oh, no. You're not aware of your environment. You cut things off. You are stopping with this positive. You won $5,000. You stop. You don't care for other things anymore. You're unaware of many things that happen, and you're rethinking what you're imagining constantly with this, based on this thought of winning $5,000, which means that you keep the dopamine flow going. Now, granted, this will give you a substitute for energy. It will make you feel good, but eventually, when everything calms down again, it's going to drain your energy. Because even with a positive, if your mind stops, you stagnate your energy, which means a separation from the reality of life. Separation, even with a positive. Now, for the last part of this mental test drive, we are winning $5,000 and the mind keeps on moving. Okay, I won $5,000. Wow, you scratch that thing. You win $5,000. What happens? You get a dopamine spike. Boom. But the moment this dopamine spike goes up and you feel great, it's already moving away. That's the nature of life. That is the reality of life. Movement constantly. So spike goes up and it goes away again. It takes a while, it has momentum to it, obviously, but it will go on its own terms, it will go away. Nothing that you have, nothing that is, stays. Everything always moves. Movement. If you go with the movement and you say, okay, I won $5,000, great. But you let it be what it is, your mind moves, you stay in flow, even with something as great as that, that means alignment with the reality of life. Now, I do want to say that if this video feels a little bit heavy, that everything maybe doesn't fall completely into place and it feels a bit abstract maybe, don't worry. That is completely normal, but it will have an effect on your subconscious. Subconsciously, you will know that change is the only constant there is. And maybe when something happens, when you feel something inside of you, something big, either it's positive or negative, a big fear or a big disappointment, or maybe something great, like you win $5,000, something in you will say, this too shall pass. Something in you might register that movement is the only constant. And as long as you stay in movement, you stay in flow. And if you're in flow, you are in alignment with the reality of life. So it will have an effect on your subconscious. Don't worry about it. And of course, you can always come back to this video to give your subconscious another boost. It will always be here on YouTube just for you.